open my can.
You might as well.
Okay, the music ended.
It's time for the can.
Yeah.
These show intros are getting, some weeks we get it right down. Other weeks it's
never going to be perfect.
No. Someday we'll get a producer on the show, and things may start to be perfect.
All right. But until then, welcome to the Probably Wrong podcast. Tony, Mike, Dave, no last names, just a ton of sports knowledge. We think.
I like that intro better because you struggled every week. With
such a pain in the ass.
the
Shula. Oh, you said it wrong. Come on. Does it really matter?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. So no more last names. I'm Tony. You're Mike. He's Dave. Let's go.
All right.
I
like it.
I haven't even had a sip yet. I'm all fired up.
I know.
Just making sure to go through the list here and
Get
I gotta send it separately.
Some weeks you're on point with that too, and today,
it takes a minute.
Everyone loves the show intro. It's just watching us sit up and futz around with our cameras and phones.
Yeah,
and
as long as Tony does the intro, it gives me a little bit more.
It's going to be a much shorter intro. You got to get that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could stick with the Robitaille last name, and
I could do Robitaille. All right.
Good evening.
We're back. Another week. Another big week in sports.
Huge week in sports. And it's the start of hopefully huge weeks, right?
Yeah. As long as teams don't get knocked out.
Oh.
So
still pissed off about that.
Why don't we start with what's fresh in our minds?
All right.
Actually, you know what? That's a bad intro to that because everything's fresh in our minds. But let's hammer out this amazing draft that we just saw last week. I don't know if "amazing's" the correct words, but I don't know. I think it's mixed. I think a lot of people say it was one of the I don't want to say best, but a really good draft. And I think those people were just used to seeing what Belichick has done year in year out and trade. I think they were just overexcited that we actually took picks. Is that wrong?
I feel like there's a group out there that's saying this is a great draft just because they're anti-Belichick, and it's easy to say, well, look at that. They drafted what they needed and not, I don't even know what you'd call it. I mean,
I turned this down and I screw up. That is such an amateur move I just did.
Well,
but I think going into the draft, we wanted a quarterback, we wanted wide receivers, and we wanted offensive line help.
Yes.
And we got a quarterback, we got wide receivers, and we wanted offensive line help. And I feel like during the draft, you're rolling the dice. Last year's number one receiver drafted was a 5th-round pick, Puka Nacua. Nasty. Nobody thought he could play. 5th-round pick. They said he was too slow.
No, you hit. You do. And
1,400 yards. 4th in the NFL. Our number one receiver was a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
So for us to go into it, and we don't watch a ton of college football. It's tough to watch all these games.
It's
nobody really knows. So
go ahead. My bone to pick with it, and you're exactly right, Tony. You never know what it could be. No, well, you're probably wrong.
Go ahead.
But I think the bone to pick with this one is everyone's a little excited, like, oh wow, we got the quarterback. No, a lot of people don't forget we're down on this quarterback, and Jaden Daniels was the majority consensus pick. And then those two guys are gone, so you took the third available. You took Drake May. Guy could be great. Awesome. Time for your wide receiver. There were 6 top wide receivers on the board. You got the last one. Now, he could be great, but, you got the last one available. The offensive lineman. You couldn't even trade up and get a guard. The left tackle that you needed. You got the last guy available, which was the right guy. Now, when I say last available, obviously they're not the true last. But when you're talking the top-end talent, there's a list of guys, and you got the end. So, yes, you filled a position of need, Tony, but you filled it by default because they were like, oh, the last guy on the board, we're going to grab him.
I think there's a strategy that happens in drafts, and I'm comparing it to a fantasy baseball draft, which is a little bit different. But
they're exactly the same thing.
Kind of the same. It kind of is. What you do is you put your guys in tiers. tier 1 for quarterbacks was Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. Some people might have Drake May at 2. Some people might have him at 3. So I feel that's why they didn't want to trade back, because they wanted a top-tier quarterback, tier 1. And I feel like the receivers, people are like, well, they got the last of the 6th guy. But you know what? They might not have seen him as the last of the 6th guy.
And, okay, the rebuttal to that is they were trying to trade up.
But they couldn't.
Right. So they took.
Right.
So you know by what they wanted to do and the moves they tried to make, you knew what they were trying to get a better wide receiver.
Right. So the 2 guys that they wanted, they might have had in tier 2. And then after tier 2, they probably had all those guys kind of, this guy's got better hands, this guy's a little bit faster, this guy's a peck ahead off the field. They're all kind of the same. So they said, you know what? If we consider these guys scratch tickets, these are all $10 scratch tickets, these 4 guys, because we can't get into the first round or we can't grab that Bills pick. So you know what? Why don't we trade back, still grab a $10 scratch ticket, but along the way, we pick up a 5th-round pick, which is an additional $5 scratch ticket.
And, yeah,
that's what I do in fantasy.
I'm fine with that, but all I was saying is they played their card. They knew that they wanted one of those better wide receivers.
Yeah, but they couldn't.
They couldn't get it, so they're like, oh.
What would it cost to get up there? Nobody really knows.
And my bone to pick is not the fact that, that was great that they tried to do it. I guess my bone to pick was when people were like, oh, it's such a great... No, it wasn't great. It would have been great if they were able to trade up and get one of those wide receivers. They just happened to grab a guy by default. Like, also, he's left, he's there, we're going to get him.
It didn't seem like the trades had a lot of value either.
Right.
Because they were saying that the offers for that 3rd overall pick weren't
great.
Yeah. When
I beg to differ on that one, Dave.
I'm just saying, I mean, they took and, they rolled their 2nd round draft pick. They moved back 3 spots, but they moved up 25 spots in the 4th round with that trade. All they did was swap 2nds and 4ths. It just didn't seem like, people just weren't really trying to move.
And Jay Fields chimes in here, and I completely agree. Yes, you got my point. They made a pick just to make a pick.
But what if they liked this guy and said, you know what? He's going to be there in 6 picks, so might as well pick up something. Bills weren't going to trade that pick. Bills lost a wide receiver.
Yeah.
So how do you move up?
You jump above him. And package some of these later picks.
But word was that they were trying to, and they couldn't get to that pick either.
They were lowballing. Word is they were lowballing.
Yeah, but you know what?
If you like a guy, trade these other tricks.
Wait a minute.
And if
the
you
Patriots
like a guy,
lowballing?
if you want these other guys, then make the trade and go get the guy.
Yeah.
And not just sit back and go, well, here we go. We got him.
I don't think there was much that the Bills would take to move that pick.
No,
because they needed a wide receiver.
But I understand the Bills. Okay, take the Bills. I get it. They weren't moving. They wanted a wide receiver. And they weren't going to go to them. But go above them. Get into the late of the 1st round.
Right.
And to rebuttal to your point a minute ago, for that number 3 pick, if they traded that away, they would have got the 11 and, 32 or 23 from Minnesota. And then they would have got their 1st round next year. That is a great deal because... You would have had 2
for sure that was
it. It already came out. Justin Jefferson wasn't in it. It was their 3 picks. They wanted that pick, and the Patriots said no. And a little brown check mark. The reason they said no, the Crafts and Mayo. I'm sorry. Let me get my words right so I don't blow up the source. The Crafts and Mayo wanted Jaden Daniels. If Jaden Daniels was there, he was their guy. Wolf wanted Drake May. Wolf, during the day, was in a conference with those guys. I don't want to say pleading his case, but basically making his case for if he's available, this is the guy. This is why we drafted him. We're not trading out. This is the guy. So this is Wolf's pick. This is Wolf's guy. I mean, obviously everybody else was on board with it. Wolf made his speech. So if it goes down, and Wolf was the guy basically said, we're not trading this pick. If Washington goes with Daniels, we're not trading this pick. I want Drake May. And obviously, as we can see, they all bought into it.
And if Drake May ends up being Justin Herbert-like, then you know what? It's not worth the trade. If you can get a quarterback that's going to be here for 7 to 10 years, there's nothing more valuable in sports. And if he feels that's his guy...
Yeah, good for him for
sticking up for
Sticking
himself,
up for
because you know
himself,
what?
yeah.
If this draft doesn't work, Wolf doesn't have a job in 2 or 3 years.
Right. It's
So
all
might
on
as well
him.
take your guy, because if you're going to die on your own sword,
You might as well. All right.
right? If I'm going to get fired for making a trade that I don't want to make, I might as well take my player.
Yeah.
You know? And here's something about the media. The media, for months I was hearing about, you could trade back and Michael Penix could be your late first-round pick. You can grab Bo Nix in the second round. The media knows nothing. They know
They
nothing.
were all gone.
Oh, I think the Falcons kind of set that trend.
Right, but Bo Nix went 12th overall. These people were 20 picks off,
Yeah.
at the very least. Like, they don't know any more than us. So for them to come out a day later and be like, the Patriots could have had this, I'm like, you don't know, because you were lying to us for the last 5 months about Penix and Bo Nix, and J.J. McCarthy was a second-round pick. They're all top half first-round picks.
Yeah.
They don't know anything. I'm done listening to the media. It's just that every month or so we come on and they're like, they didn't know anything about this.
Yeah.
Every month. Jordan Montgomery, Sox can sign him if they want. Jordan Montgomery comes, I was never going to sign there. They're not in contention. They're not trying to win games.
They're not trying, yeah.
And the media is telling us he's ready to sign and his wife goes to college here and he's living in Boston. The Red Sox won't sign him. They were 100% off. They had us all buying it. They do this all the time. We keep falling for it.
Yeah.
We're more right than the people on the radio. And we don't even know what we're talking about. It's scary that these people have a job.
To get to Rob James asked us, what are your thoughts on passing on Adonna Mitchell and going with Polk? I don't really think that they passed on him. We were just talking about they stupidly couldn't make the trade. I like Mitchell. I think he's a character. I don't know if you've seen any of the stuff, like just about. There's just a camera on him 24/7 in Buffalo right now. The guy is just gold. He just seems like a genuine guy. I think he's a great talent. I think he would have been for Mayo's as a first-year coach. I think Mitchell would have been awesome for this team because you would have seen what you're seeing here in Buffalo. Because that's what the Patriots needed. You know, it's not only is he could be a stud wide receiver, but he's also a great personality, and that's something that this team doesn't have.
I don't know who he is, but I do know our fourth round pick has a little bit of personality, whether it be good or bad.
Yeah.
A little bit more bad than good so far.
Mitchell is the one that was sitting. He had the yellow puffy coat, and they were talking about the coat. He's like, I got this at Macy's. I get my coats in the summer because they're cheaper. That's what my mom always said. We go in the summer, we get 2 or 3 coats.
That's a smart man, though.
He did they took him in like the freezer chamber in Buffalo, and he saw the smoke and everything. He was like, oh, this is like the Undertaker. Quick, someone put the Undertaker thing. Let's do it.
All right, so he's
Like,
pretty
he was-
cool.
yeah,
So
yeah.
better than our guy in the 4th round that said, bring your popcorn because I make
People in wheelchairs stand up.
people in wheelchairs stand up.
Yeah.
I think we all read that and we're like, oh boy.
That was Javon Baker.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
But people are saying,
I don't hate that comment.
So-
People are just digging for
no,
that.
people are saying that he's a potential steal.
Yeah.
He better be good. To make comments like that, you got to back it up.
Yeah,
now.
you better back it up.
You got to back it up.
Yeah, I mean, I lost
Personality.
my train of thought.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say he's
Personality.
got personality.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to have personality on the Patriots?
I
You
think
are now, though.
Yeah, is that a new thing?
That's a new thing.
Well, Gerard Mayo was out. I don't really like this comment. I don't know if you guys will.
Thanks for pinning us into a.
Yeah, he came out today and said, you know what? These guys, they need to be nurtured. They need to be loved. They need to know that you care about them as a man.
That's the new NFL.
Oh
Tony.
God, it's
that what
terrible.
Is that how it goes?
Yeah, and he goes, and then after that, we can work on football. I'm like, what? What the hell are we doing here?
You know what? And
I hate it.
as much as I hate it,
Ugh.
it's the way it is now. And right now, what are these guys going to do? Do the opposite? Look at how good that worked for Bill the past couple of years.
Yeah, he also had no talent, but I feel like if you have a team with talent,
I know. You look at the teams that are winning, and Tony, look at the teams that are winning, and you see these coaches, and that's how they attack the game.
yeah, maybe.
You know, it is what it is.
Maybe I gotta stop
Tampering.
watching sports because
That's-
Kevin Garnett is my favorite athlete of all time by far, and he would not settle for that.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I know.
It's
I know.
different. It's different.
It's different now. It's
Yeah.
you know, you're just showing our age right there. 3 old men.
It bothers me.
I know.
It's like, dude, do you like people go to work for you? Yeah, you're friendly with them, but at the end of the day, they need to get their job done. And you know what? You don't like in a weird way. Like, I don't want to put you on the spot, but like their issues off the field, they got to worry about that on their own time. While
Yes.
they're working, they got to get their job
We
done.
have a saying: check your feelings at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
it's changed a lot.
It has, but it's not to the degree of this. We're still not a nurturing bunch, Dave. You know,
I can't picture you guys getting a nurturing.
There's a few guys on here that have worked for us and with us.
But I know a few of the
we're not
guys,
really
and they're
nurturing.
like tough guys, and they're like, you know what? They're my friends, but I have a job to do, and they don't need to ask me about my family life right now. I need to go to work.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We do ask about family. We're stuck with these guys for 40 hours a week. You know, you're side by side.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
trust me. There are guys I work with. They were like, nope. Friendship, personal's personal, works. But I go, you are with us more than you're with your family.
Those are my kind of guys right there.
You know?
Let's get the job
Pretty
done.
much.
Like we're together. We're together 40 hours a week for like 11 years now.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
you build friendships,
Right. Correct.
and it makes the day go better. Wow, I don't know where we got off on this. Everyone's chiming in wanting to talk football, and we're talking.
Oh,
about
sorry,
nurturing
I apologize.
friendships.
Fields, he's talking about feelings and how I used to comfort him.
Yeah. Fields, one of my old star apprentices. You know, Mike hurt my feelings all the time. Yeah, Dave is the comforter. I'm good cop, bad cop.
All right.
Yes.
I can see that. So,
Paul is very excited about the Patriots draft. We got stars at every
I don't.
All right,
every round.
let's break it.
I can see the excitement in his comments.
Paul.
All right.
I hope they
We'll
end
break
up.
down each guy. Go.
All right, Jalen Polk. I'm going to destroy every
What
single
about
one
Drake
of
May?
his names.
What about Drake May?
Drake May? Do you want to hear Drake May? Let's. I'm going to tell you all I need to hear.
of experience.
What happened to it?
I don't know, but nobody can hear it, so we're not going to play that. That was
Belichick talks about how he needs a lot of help with his footwork. I guess he had a terrible offensive line, and that can create some footwork issues. I did hear a pro scout saying that's one of the easier things
to fix.
to fix.
Yeah.
You probably fix it by getting a good offensive line. One thing I do like about Drake May, I never watched a Drake May game in my life, but I do like the fact that he had 3 older brothers, and when they interviewed the older brothers,
They gave him crap.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you know this guy's tough. Mac Jones, any bit of adversity, he'd break down and crumble like a little cookie. I gotta call my college coach. They're not using me correctly. Drake May's a little bit tougher. Just by having the 3 older brothers, I imagine Mac Jones is an only child, or maybe he only had sisters. This guy probably
I don't know.
gets.
He sounds a bit lucid down there in Jacksonville.
Oh, we'll see.
Don't
He's not going to play anyways. But one of the guys I think called him a little bitch. Called Drake May a little bitch. His brother did.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude. So this guy's going to be tough.
And the problem with that is, I think he overcompensates a lot, and that's one of the things that Belichick was talking about. He sees double coverage and throws Brett Favre in, fires it
Drew
in
Bledsoe
there,
used to do that.
leaving. He's not identifying wide open receivers, not checking down,
Okay.
fixating on guys, and making. And that's hard to teach. That's hard to break with guys. So, I mean, Drake May, not a fan of. We sat here forever. I don't think any one of us were here.
I am neutral because I don't watch college football, so I don't know.
But what I'm saying, we all wanted Jaden Daniels. Drake May we were like trade out.
I wanted Jaden Daniels because this is going to be a stereotype because I figure he's a better athlete.
Yeah, he looked it out there on the field.
Okay, yeah.
To me, he was more exciting, more fun to watch. He also had a personality. He also had big shoulders to take it. And he was electric out there. Drake May reminds me of a combination of Mac Jones and Drew Bledsoe. I keep calling him Drew Jones.
Whoa. Mac Jones has a noodle for an arm and runs slower than Dave. How can we compare Drake May to Dave / Mac Jones?
Accuracy, corner outs over the middle, stuff like that. But he has a Drew Bledsoe cannon down the field.
Yeah.
May has that prototypical pocket passer build, and if they can get his feet work right and, get him to read the field.
But he also runs pretty well, right? He's pretty fast.
He can run, yeah. I mean, you have to nowadays, but he's still a guy that I think they're going to try to transform him into a pocket passer that,
that runs
if
when
you
needed.
have to take off, yeah.
But you know what? Patrick Mahomes nowadays is a pocket passer that runs
When needed.
when needed.
Yep.
Drake May is also only 21, so if you got to sit this guy for a year, I don't want to see him sat for a year. I'd like to see him sit for about 8 games, catch him up to speed, and then throw him out there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Even that, I don't, honestly, go the Pat Mahomes route. Let him sit the whole year. Bring him in the last 2 games of the year.
you got to have some excitement here. This team was terrible last year.
I don't know. I don't know if you do.
Yeah.
They win 4 last year, and they're on pace to maybe
probably do it again.
Yeah, 4 or 5 this year.
Ugh.
So let's go with.
Don't hurt the kid. Let him learn something. I'm still not sure that Jacoby Brissett is the guy that should be teaching him.
But Jacoby
that's my
Brissett
opinion.
can teach him how to act off the field. He can help him prep for games. Jacoby Brissett is a class act.
Yeah.
And if Jacoby Brissett is just a placeholder, I think that's the kind of guy you want. A very well-respected guy that is very intelligent. I don't know. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because we got Drake May.
All right, let's go. Round 2, pick 37, Jalen Polk.
I don't know.
He's the wide receiver out of
I know
Washington.
who he is. After they drafted him.
6'1", 203.
6'1", 203. Yeah, I don't.
Which means he's 5'11", 190 pounds.
No, not nowadays. They're legit with those because they do it at the combine. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like everyone's down on him.
I think they're down on him just because we beat like a dead horse
Because he
earlier. It was
wasn't-
a pick to pick.
Yeah, he wasn't one of the top talked about receivers.
But a lot of receivers did go early.
Oh,
I was saying, Jalen Polk created a huge problem against the Oregon defense. That is definitely relatable to the NFL.
Well, is that Paul Connors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one thing I did hear about him is he's very solid and dependable.
Yes.
So when you have maybe an erratic quarterback, it might be a little bit like reassuring for that guy to have someone that's solid and dependable with good hands.
All right, round 3, pick 68. Caden Wallace from Penn State. Offensive tackle, 6'5", 314.
All right, good size. Projects as a right tackle. I don't know if
we need a left tackle.
Unless they're moving Owenu to left. Is that what's going to happen?
I have no idea what they're doing. I mean, we can... I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
So it's hard for us to, without knowing the game plan, that's a dumb pick.
But they picked back-to-back, because next in round 4, they picked Layden Robinson, Texas A&M, 6'4", 315, same exact build.
Is that a tackle or a guard?
Guard.
It's a guard.
But
Okay.
so with New England, I hate this, that when I see offensive line and what they are, tackle, guard, right, left, I know it's New England, and they're going to, what is it, the Belichick, if you can play anywhere in the line is interchangeable. And I'm wondering if they're still going to have that philosophy.
I think what they're trying to do there, Cole Strange was brought in to be part of the offensive line that was supposed to run the San Francisco 49ers offense.
Yeah.
So you need more athletic guards. I think Cole Strange is on his way out because he's a thinner offensive guard.
Yep.
And this guy's more of a bulldozer. To me, it sounds like they're going to run more, right? You brought in 2 guys that weigh well over 300 pounds. It sounds like you're going to pound the ball.
Yeah.
Right?
You would think so.
And Cole Strange probably on his way out.
I mean, you have Brissett and May. The way to protect these 2 guys is to run the ball.
Yes,
right.
yes.
So
To help a rookie
So right
quarterback.
now we can kind of see what they're doing.
But they did... Okay, go ahead.
So
Sorry.
you have 2 big guys. Maybe move Owenu to left. You got your right guard, right tackle, big size guys. Run the ball, shorten the game. Good defense. Try to win these games 23-17.
And I don't think they should let Strange go. I think injuries on the offensitive line.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to let him go.
They
But
need
you know
to
what?
keep
He's
these
going to
guys.
have to work for that job.
Yeah. Next pick, round 4. Javion Baker. He was there out of UFC. 6'1",
UCF.
208. Yeah, UFC.
Yeah.
Dyslexic much?
Yeah, UCF. This is the guy that said he makes people in wheelchairs stand up. So we'll see if he backs it up. He was an original recruit to Alabama. Went to Alabama, transferred. You got to like any wide receiver that gets on that Alabama team. So that's good.
So what I'm seeing out of these wide receivers, right? So you get these 2 rookies who have pretty much the same mentality. You get Kendrick Bourne. You got, Sherman Douglas. I know that's not his first name, but I don't remember it.
Pop
Douglas.
Yep.
So you got 3, 4 guys that have the same. They're dogs,
Small.
right? These
Yeah, they're
guys,
small.
but they're small, but they're work.
Yeah,
You know, they're hard. They're gonna. I think I like this wide receiver core, but they're all like number 2, 3s. We still
Oh yeah.
We still
No.
don't have a stud.
No, you bring
We don't have Tony. None of these guys are going to command double coverage.
No.
And that's the problem.
No. The only one that we think can only really create separation right now is Douglas. If you bring in a T. Higgins,
It's not. So Douglas creates separation only by his like crossing patterns and underneath.
He's very
Nothing-
quick. No.
nothing down the
He's
field.
not a deep threat. He's a slot receiver. He's Edelman-like. He's Welker-like. But he's the only one that really creates any space. But if you can somehow get a number one receiver, T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, this might not look so bad.
So that's the top 4 rounds. Those are the guys that you're probably going to see next year at some point. Now, the guys that Paul Connors here wants to talk about.
All right, let's go, Paul Connors.
Are the scraps.
Yeah. I like these
scraps of the
rounds better.
Patriots draft.
Yeah, this is where Douglas came out of.
So you got round 6. You got a cornerback, Marcelius Dial.
Love him.
6 feet tall, 190 pounds.
Take it.
All right.
I know nothing about him.
Beast.
Beast. Yeah.
So he's a guy that I don't know what he's going to do. He's undersized. He's undersized in today's NFL. Unless he's a guy who can cover a slot,
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
think
he's
he's
a
ever
nickel.
going to see the field.
Yeah.
Joe Milton, 3rd quarterback. Another guy that I don't think should ever see the field. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
Hold on. Zolak met with Mayo, Wolf, and talked about that guy being a number 3 quarterback that would run short offenses. So
Taysom
3rd and
Hill.
1, Taysom Hill like. 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, goal line packages. You got a 6'5", 260-pound quarterback, Taysom Hill.
Okay.
So if you use him like that, it's almost like having a
Joe
fullback.
Milton came out and already said no.
Joe Milton has no say.
But he
Let's
already
be
came
honest.
out. What the interview was, talking about the
Tight end.
the
They want-
Celtics, but they were talking about conforming him to another position. He said, "Hell no, I'm a quarterback."
Right, and he would still play quarterback, but more in an option type, kind of like old school, high school way. But you know what? That would be a weapon. 3rd and 1, you got a 6'5".
That's the chatter in here. Paul Connors, Taysom Hill. That's what he's saying.
Well, that's, like if you can use him like that as you develop him, and then he's almost like a gimmick guy, maybe we have something
What if
there.
he turns out to be better than May?
You never know. You never know. If May's a bust,
6th round quarterback.
yeah, it's happened. 199 overall.
And then, I think Paul's favorite pick of the draft, Jaheim Bell from FSU, a 6'2", 241-pound tight end that I think they're going to use to run block to help Gibson not tear his ACL, Jay Fields. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know much about Bell.
They're gonna run. They're gonna run a, pound it, short pass, that type of a
Yep.
style game, and I don't know. That's what they've been trying to do for years with Mac Jones and Cam Newton, and
Right.
not a big fan of it. I mean, it's not.
It's not
good for
fun.
this.
It's not good entertainment.
Right.
But for right now, that's probably how they need to be competitive until they can get some offensive weapons.
Yeah, if they're gonna win any games this year, it's gonna be close games. They're not gonna.
23-20, right?
Yeah, and they're not coming from behind either.
No, they're going to win. They're going to win these games defensively and by pounding the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
And if
So-
they get behind, well, good night.
Good night, Irene, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Hey, Paul Connors is saying that Jaheim Bell, the tight end out of FSU, was compared to DK Metcalf. The silence here is
Definitely. Yeah, maybe body-wise, and maybe he could be a good run blocker and then maybe develop into something a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't watch college, so
Yeah. And we're also
couldn't tell
taking
ya.
kids at the age of 21. Jacoby Myers was a quarterback in college, turned out to be a pretty good pro. Julian Edelman was a quarterback in college, turned out to be a very good wide receiver, potentially a Patriots Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
You just never know how kids develop and how much they care about the game, how much they work.
Yeah.
It's just tough to tell. It's tough to tell.
So-
it's true.
what I really like about this draft. All right, and this is probably my favorite thing. We picked in every round, right? These guys are going to bring a little bit excitement to your camps and your preseason.
Yeah,
this year.
absolutely. Gives us a lot to talk about.
Exactly, and that's my biggest takeaway with this.
Yeah.
Is that you're going to be focused in to see what these guys are. You're actually, some of us here are going to remember these guys. and see
Absolutely,
these,
absolutely. And we're going to be excited to watch them in the
Yeah.
preseason.
So-
And unlike a Belichick year, where we're like, all right, we need some wide receivers, we need this, and he would draft none of it. He would draft a punter and a kicker.
Yeah.
At least we wanted offensive line, we wanted wide receivers, and we wanted a quarterback, and we got it.
And so I don't say this draft is a failing draft at all. I just to me I didn't put this draft as, wow, this was the best draft. I put this draft as a middle of the road draft.
Yeah.
And, it's...
We'll know in 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
depending on how many people are actually on the team. And then we'll know in 5 years as to who gets second contracts with the team. And then I think that's how you determine whether or not. Right now, you're just rolling the dice on all these guys.
So the other thing I wanted to get to about the draft is what everybody wants to know. What I feel about Michael Penix and the Atlanta Falcons. So, at first, absolutely hated the pick. Hated the pick. This is like year 3 that you've drafted a... They're the prototypical take the best guy that they think is on the board, not what the team needs. 3 years ago, you take Kyle Pitts, didn't need him. Last year you take Bijan Robinson, didn't need him. This year you take Michael Penix, didn't need him. Hated it. You should have grabbed somebody that, an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, somebody to impact the team now. But being a true Falcons fan that I am, and I don't know why I still like them, I've now talked myself into liking this pick. Because Kirk Cousins, you only have him for 2 years. Yes, I know everybody, 4-year deal, 106. No. It's $90 million, 2 years, and he can go. He's fragile. I hate to admit it, he's fragile. So now you got a guy, 25 years old, who can come in, and then you're excited to see him. I don't have Desmond Ridder coming in. I don't have Tyler Heineke coming in.
Who's fragile?
I have Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins. Michael Penix now has robot legs, Dave.
And
relax.
Michael Penix is almost as old as Kirk Cousins is.
And now you have a contingency plan in 2 years. You can move on from Cousins. If this does not work out in 2 years, you can move on, and you already have your draft pick in waiting. You already have a succession plan. You're not like, we have to scrap it. You have, it's to me, it's great.
I agree to a point, but when you do something like that, you take a 21 or 22-year-old quarterback, not, a guy who's been in college for 8 years.
But Dave,
I know. You have to like him. He's a Falcon. You're trying to make this work in your head.
The other part about it is, Dave, is like I already hit on it, right? So you get a guy that's, the moment shines on him, I can't even say that because he crapped the bed in the championship game.
But the game before, he was lights out.
But I'm just saying, Cousins is coming off his ACL. He may not start all right away. I think he will start Achilles, sorry.
Worse.
But if it's not working out, you can throw Penix in there and see what you got. Like you took a shot.
Yeah, I don't mind the Penix thing. I joke around with you because it's you and Atlanta. But I still think, if you're going to sign Cousins and, you want to groom a quarterback. Usually you try to groom a young quarterback.
Or someone that you grab in the second or third round, or even if you
grab
them
a little
late
bit later, if there's anyone even available later.
It makes a lot more sense when Bo Nix went 12
Yeah.
that you grab Penix there. And like you said, I'm kind of on that same page. You can get rid of Cousins in 2 years, and then you have your quarterback. And quarterbacks now play until they're 40 because they're protected by the referees. They're protected. Everything's done in the NFL to help protect these quarterbacks. So if you have a quarterback for 10 years that you like, he throws a beautiful ball. Once again, if Bo Nix ended up going pick 32, then this might look stupid because maybe you could have traded back and got Penix at 25.
It's going to. You're going to second guess this consistently until he gets out there.
Well,
go ahead.
The thought of it for a lot of people was Atlanta signed Kirk Cousins because they were going to try to win now.
Okay, and that's what I want to get to.
Get yourself a star
to
play with them.
To get to that into Justin Elwood here, right? This team is going to win now just with Cousins. This team last year won 7 games with the worst quarterback to play the game. Worse than Mac Jones last year. Desmond Ridder was absolutely awful. And then they try to go, we're going to put in Tyler Heineke, who was even more awful, and they still won 7 games. They're going to plug in Kirk Cousins. Sorry, guys. He's going to get you 10 and 11 and into the playoffs.
But then
they
you
have,
think...
Hold on, I'm sorry. They have, for me, studs at every position.
Yeah.
Between Bijan, his backup, Algier. They have stud tight end with Kyle Pitts. They have wide receivers. They addressed even deeper wide receivers. They have a great middle-of-the-road defense who, during the year last year, played up. They picked up defensive linemen. They picked up edge rushes this year. They're a team that next year, they're gonna get into the playoffs. They, especially in the weak NFC next year, they could cruise right in. So to win now was the Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I just think if you're as close as you say they are, then maybe you.
I know
yeah,
that was
know.
my initial
Yeah,
anger, Tony.
Yeah, like if you could grab, if you're that close, if you're one guy that can make a play in a playoff game away from heading to the NFC title game.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, you're right. And Sean makes a point. They're in an awful division. So.
Yeah. But I mean, you could be 12-5 in that awful division and get a home playoff game as opposed to 10-7.
My original thoughts was if they traded that pickup and grabbed that offensive lineman that the Chargers grabbed and giving Kirk Cousins that protection.
A little bit more protection.
I would have loved that, but you know what? That's not what happened. And
Yeah,
much
4 years from now, if Penix is lighting it up, nobody's going to doubt that pick. Anytime you grab a quarterback, there's no price that's too high, right? Anytime you grab a quarterback. For instance, Matthew Stafford cost Goff and 3 first-round picks. It was worth it because he won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So anytime you can get that quarterback, no matter what you pay, no price is too high.
And you know what? I just lost my point.
Sorry.
But much like the New England Patriots fans who are talking themselves into how great of a draft this is, as an Atlanta Falcons fan, I've completely talked myself into Michael Penix.
It's all on the quarterback. If the quarterback hits, if everyone else sucks, it's still a good draft.
Yeah.
Because you need the quarterback in this league.
But with that pick, I don't think you're going to see it this year. Maybe,
no, you're not going to see it.
Maybe not even next year.
No, you won't see it next year.
I hope I don't see it this year, because if I see it this year, that means Cousins went down.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Right. NFL season. I love it.
It's going to be fun.
I can't wait for it to get here, but I don't want to wish the summer away.
Yeah. It's going to be good.
You know what else is fun right now? Our Boston Celtics.
Is it fun?
To me, it is. That was a bad laugh.
Well,
yeah. So Porzingis is out.
Yeah.
They're saying 2 to 3, 4 to 6. They don't really know.
It's the Boston Celtics, and when it comes to injuries, it's always the worst. They sell you the best. They've done it year after year after year. And as soon as he went down, and then they immediately said, "Oh, it's just his calf." I knew right away. If they're making light of it, it's bad.
I mean, I think he struggled with his calf throughout the year, right? He missed.
But
games.
does this really hurt them playing in the next round?
It doesn't help them. Who they play next round? We don't know yet.
We don't know yet. I'm hoping it's
Orlando.
Cleveland.
Cleveland has 2 bigs in Evan Mobley and who's the guy with the afro that came from Brooklyn?
Jared Allen.
So they have 2 legit 7-footers. So you're going to have to play Xavier Tillman. You're going to have to play Luke Cornett.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the good takeaways a couple days ago, Luke Cornett looked comfortable out there.
Yeah, he does.
The moment didn't look too big for him.
No.
He looked...
My fear, though, is Tatum has a tendency to get worn down in the playoffs, so maybe the Cavs series goes 6 or 7.
So, Tatum worn down in the playoffs, I don't think is a problem this year, because Tatum, as we've seen in years past, he's just constantly, I'm going to do it all. And this year, he's not been, I'm going to do it all, Tatum.
Better team this year.
Team. We're not seeing Tatum constantly force up shots.
Yeah.
I love him taking it to the hole. I don't care if he's missing it, taking it to the hole.
No.
Just keep taking it to the hole. I don't think Tatum's going to be worn down. I think Tatum is playing these games a little bit smarter than he played before.
How about Al Horford? Al Horford having to play a little bit more minutes. That's not good. He's 48 years old.
If this only lasts, through the rest of this round, say they close it out and then they get through the next round, is he available for the conference finals?
Maybe the finals.
We're going to need him in the conference finals because word is Giannis and Damian Lillard are going to play. They may even play the next game.
Well, I think Giannis has the same
injury
we'll have a good forecast on how long it took Giannis to get back and if he gets hurt again. So we can kind of compare it.
Come back too early.
To Porzingis. I imagine Giannis being younger and more athletic would heal about a week quicker than Porzingis, but we'll keep an eye on Giannis to see how much he has tomorrow night, right?
Yeah.
So I still don't know if they get through Indiana. I think Indiana's going to take that series. Bucks are down 3-2.
It's been a fun series to watch.
Yeah.
As a basketball fan watching this Indiana, Indiana Pacers, Pascal Siakam.
Pasquale Siakam.
Pasquale Siakam has looked great, and that's what worries me because he is a Celtics killer.
Yeah, he's
And both
good.
of them, Halliburton, that whole team is a team of Celtics. You know, McConnell, that whole team is a team that, for some reason, not only match up well against the Celtics, they love playing in the Garden.
Yeah, they play very fast, and that's what I fear for Milwaukee. Giannis is going to come back, Dame's going to come back, and they don't want to play at that speed.
Yeah.
You know, not when they're not fully healthy. So I think Indiana takes that series.
And not to look too far into the next round, but Ethan chimes in here with Cleveland can't hang with the Celtics. They're a young team. They play their big guys down low and away from the three-point line. I think so. I don't like that as much because they have a couple guys, Mitchell and Garland, who can shoot the lights out.
Yeah, and they're not that young.
And you know, Mitchell is another guy that's. I mean, we've already saw it when he played the Celtics this year. I mean, he takes it to Jaylen Brown and Tatum. He's got that mean edge to him. And last year, a couple years in the playoffs, he's one of those guys that kind of falls off as it goes down the line. This year, it doesn't seem to be that way.
Well,
the moment doesn't seem too big for him.
When he was on Utah, he would constantly get that double team, too, where he's got to dish it off. So maybe that impacted his stats falling a little bit. Now with Garland as his backcourt mate, maybe they can't double team him as quickly. I like Donovan Mitchell. I think Celtics are going to have to work.
Either way, with the Celtics, because Pablo Blanchero is playing. The guy's had a 30-plus point game in all except for one. Almost hit 40 last night. He is a young guy that is playing like a seasoned vet now.
He was the number one pick overall.
Yeah.
And Orlando's also very big.
And
so
scary
losing Porzingis.
Losing Porzingis. We talked about this at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. And we wanted a little bit more help at the trade deadline. They got Tillman. He didn't really play as much as I felt like he should. But now he's going to have to be thrown in the fire. Let's go.
So here's my feelings on this with the Porzingis, right? Last year, Porzingis wasn't here. We had Marcus Smart, right? So take this team without Porzingis. You take Marcus Smart away, and you add Holiday. This is a better team that we had last year and the year before.
Yeah, and Tatum and Brown are better this year, too.
So without Porzingis, truly this team should get there no problem.
Yeah, but you're going to have to go through 6-7 games to get there. It's not like you're that much better than Cleveland. Or if you got to play a feisty New York team, you're not going to beat them in 4 games.
No. But So, these past 2 nights, right? The way we've played defense, if we play that way against these teams, we should annihilate all of them.
Yeah, we're talking about the Boston Celtics, though. They show up. When they show up, a lot of times they just show up and think.
Tonight is really going to say a lot about this team.
You got to take tonight.
They need to close it out.
Yeah.
They need to play the way they've been playing.
Miami's not a great team without Jimmy Butler.
No.
And Hernandez, the Mexican or Spanish Jimmy Butler.
Oh, that's probably appropriate.
But that's what they called him the other last week in the game. You didn't hear that?
No.
Because he plays like Jimmy Butler.
Well, I was probably listening to Mike Gorman. I don't think he uses racial comments.
That wasn't.
Maybe there was a TNT people. The Mexican, Mexican Butler.
He's not playing tonight.
Oh, he's not.
No, he got banged up pretty bad in the last game.
The issue, Dave, with Miami is they play for 48 minutes. They're not that good. But if you take the foot off the gas pedal for 5 minutes, they're going on a 15-2 run. And the Knicks do the same thing. And Celtics have a tendency to take the foot off the gas pedal. They get arrogant within the game, and then a 20-point lead is down to 4, and then they start going back to hero ball like they're playing at the YMCA. It drives me crazy.
Yep.
Just put in effort for 48 minutes.
So, was it Saturday or Sunday they played? Saturday, right? The Celtics.
I'm trying to think. I lose.
Regardless of when it was.
Monday and Saturday.
So
Saturday, yeah.
One of the big takeaways that I took away from this game,
probably a takeaway, but anyways,
was Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla coached probably the best game I've ever seen him coach. He had the guys. He took
Game 4.
Yes, because he was guarding the 3. He saw why they. No, it was Game 3. Game 3, because Game 2.
Game 3. Yes.
He stepped up. He was guarding the guys at the 3-point line, right? He was give and go, constant ball movement. It's almost like he watched game film. All right? And then the third quarter started. And the Heat went on a little bit of a run. And what did Mazzulla do? He called the timeout.
Wow.
Right?
Imagine that.
He changed. Literally, they came out of that timeout like a new ball club. Like it's almost like Mazzulla coached, guys.
Yeah.
Like Mazzulla coached. They came out and then they put their foot back on the gas. They changed how they were playing. They adjusted because the Heat went into the zone. I was like, if Mazzulla can do this, I am happy.
He's growing up.
And then he did that last night too. If you noticed,
I don't care. I don't care who gets credit for it as long as they win.
Yeah.
But part of me is like Brad Stevens is telling him what to do. Between games, it's like we're gonna start like this. Once the Heat adjust, this is how we adjust.
I'm thinking Stevens, Gundy, Cassell's all were like, you know what? We let you do it all year long.
Yeah, we're running the show.
You're not blowing
You can be
now.
the face of it.
Yeah. And
He's got a timeout buzzer on him.
Yeah. Like a little zapper. Thing's killing me.
You know, and I'm like, if we can play like that, if they can go on runs and Mazzulla can properly call the timeouts to kill the runs, it's like a weight off my shoulder.
Right.
Because my biggest fear with this team is Joe Mazzulla. Because other teams go on runs and he likes to let his stars play through it.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, like you gotta stop.
And then if you had Jordan and Pippen, I feel like they could play through it. We see our athletes get deflated on the court, right? We see the look on Jaylen Brown's face. We see the look on Tatum's face. These guys, maybe in the future they can, but they can't play through these 15-2 runs. They get deflated pretty easily. Yeah. Can we talk about? Are we done talking about the Celtics?
They need to put Miami away at home tonight.
Yes.
To prove.
Before we get to that.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Before
premature
we get to that,
Bruinlation.
if you get a chance, I think the best series in the playoffs is going to be Denver versus Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
And that is happening soon. I don't know when that first game is.
Friday or Saturday night.
Those two teams can both win the championship. Yeah. Celtics don't play a team that can win the championship.
No. Anthony Edwards right now is the best player in the NBA.
He is on fire.
I mean,
Well, Jokic is the best player in the NBA.
No, I'm sorry. Right now, the way Anthony Edwards is playing this game, the way he's controlling the offense, the way he's controlling the defense, the way his court vision, his knowing when to score, his knowing when to pass. Tony, he has been amazing to watch.
Absolutely. He is
holding his guys accountable.
Yeah. I like Anthony Edwards. I always have. I like the fact that he's got two guys on his team that the rest of the league doesn't like. Nobody likes Karl Anthony Towns. He's kind of like a dweeb. Nobody likes Rudy Gobert. But you can tell, like, he is focused on winning. Those are his boys. And they're his boys because he needs them to get to the title.
And if you listen to the way he talks to these guys, there was a press conference the other day where Edwards was like, you know, I got on because Karl Anthony Towns was there. And he was talking about how he got on Anthony Towns, but then also was like, you know, but we need you. We need you the guy. You're the best player. Like
very mature, Anthony. Oh. What a very mature star because they've played with stars before.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Butler hated Karl Anthony Towns, refused to work with him. Donovan Mitchell hated Rudy Gobert, refused to work with him. And this guy's saying, you know what? In order for me to get to that title, I need these two guys. Sorry about that. Go.
And what he is what I enjoy about him even more is he hates these guys on the court.
Yeah,
like
he's old school.
But like he loves Durant. They have a great relationship,
Talking
smack. And it's funny because he even said like we play in the summer. Like right now, these aren't his words, but it's pretty much like I hate this guy. I play against him. But when we get together in the summer, it's all love, and I'm not going to let him forget what I just did to him.
He's Kevin Garnett-like.
You know?
I love it. And
the way he approaches after the games, 22, like he's not out in everyone's face going, you're my buddy, this and that. You know, I like it.
You don't have to sell me on him. One good thing about Minnesota is there was a game in the past 4 against Phoenix that Edwards wasn't great. I think he scored 17 or 18, but they still won. So this team can win a game without him scoring 35 points.
Defensively, he came on. He made some huge blocks at the end of that game.
Yeah. So, but even without him scoring 30 points, they can still win a game.
That was the game that Jaden McDaniels, he kept feeding McDaniels because he was hot from 3. He had like 25 points, and he hit a ridiculous number of 3-pointers. It was game 2.
And Mike Conley also scored 18. Towns had 20-something. Gobert had 16.
We love the Timberwolves. We love the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
OKC.
I don't know if the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets, though. I think it's going to be a great series. I think it goes 7 games.
So this is that learning curve. This is where if the Timberwolves fall short this year, they're the team with the mentality that they're going to come back hungry next year, and they're going to be even scarier next year.
Yeah, they're a top team. And everyone's like, well, the Celtics are favored. Celtics are favored to win the title because because they're in the East, and they don't have
they're
to
in the
go
East.
through these teams. For Denver to get to the finals, they got to go through OKC. They got to go through
Probably
Minnesota.
play
So
7-game series
Right,
to get
right.
through them. Yeah.
So that's why the Celtics are favored.
But
Everyone
now-
thinks they're the favorite to win. They're Vegas favored to win because the East is so weak. There's a much better chance that they're going to be in the finals.
But now the Celtics are going to have a tougher road without Porzingis.
Yeah.
So how great are they going to be if they get to the finals, right? I
Time
mean,
will tell. All right,
time
Bruins
will
minute.
tell.
Had to throw that in there.
I don't even feel right playing the song after what
No,
I witnessed last
no.
night. I wish I had a Maple Leaf song to play.
I mean, Jim Montgomery said he's still pissed off.
I liked that comment.
Yeah,
I
and
like
he's
that.
going to be pissed off until the puck drops tomorrow night. Very disappointing, but I gotta say, I'm kind of disappointed at the fact that he changed his lineup for that game.
I'm not disappointed that he changed the lineup. I'm disappointed that Grizzly was playing.
Well, Grizzly.
That's the main.
And I honestly, I thought John Beecher has been playing really well. He's got the size. He's more talented than I think Boquist is. If you're gonna sit a guy, sit Boquist. I know the effort's there from Boquist, but he's not very good with the puck.
No.
I mean, Beecher can play with the puck. He can hit. I think you put him, Brazeau, and Maroon together. That's a big line.
And
But-
Dave, these lines, the past two games in Toronto looked.
They played
They looked
great.
great. That was the best I think I've seen the Bruins
And
play.
you change the lineup, and you put Grizzlick back in there, who, he may not be the reason that they lose, but he's such a liability out there for his. And I've said this before. I don't dislike Grizzlick. The guy's got a great attitude, the way he plays the game, but it's the playoffs. He's too small. He always has been. And, great regular season player, handles it well, but you get into the playoffs, you bring him back in, you sit Shattenkirk, which, I don't think Shattenkirk's been great, but he's still a bigger body. I mean, Grizzlick just bounces off people. He can't check anyone. He can't clear out in front of the net. He gets the puck in the corner, and he knows he's going to get hit, so he throws it up the boards.
Yeah.
Toronto's game plan.
How does Montgomery not see that? That's what drives me crazy.
That's another thing that drives me
How
nuts.
does Montgomery not see what this guy's doing on the ice? We're sitting here a million miles away on the Probably Wrong podcast, and we see it. And it's pretty, and it's not even like we're throwing crap at the walls here. I mean, I think everybody that's chimed in can say the same thing. Like, how does this coach not see that?
And I don't understand how none of the coaches have picked up on Toronto's game plan is they put a wing up high up on the boards near the blue line because the Bruins defensemen, mainly Lindholm and Grizzlick, they get the puck behind the net. They know they're going to get hit, so they throw it up the boards. So you just sit there and wait for it to come to you. And I watched it probably 50 times the other night. And I'm saying to myself, how do they not know this is happening? These are professional coaches, professional players. Toronto sees it, and we don't.
It's infuriating. In that game yesterday, so as the biggest Celtics fan as I am, we've seen a lot of crappy Celtics games. We've seen a lot of games where we're like, wow, this team has no heart tonight. Like, they are completely just
effort.
playing awful. The effort not there. That Bruins game, that Game 5, was probably one of the worst games that I've seen, effort-wise, heart-wise, everything. Other than Swayman, who played out of his mind and almost stole that game for us.
He did.
Except for, it just...
And he's been great, but this team had Toronto kind of questioning themselves.
Matthews didn't play.
They should have put that away. They had them on the ropes, and they let them back in. And now they're going to Toronto, and... yeah, Matthews is huge for them, but he still doesn't perform in the playoffs. But if he comes back and he's recharged He sees what the team's doing.
Exactly.
Maybe you put him on a lower line and say, you know what, show us something.
So,
you know,
my fear is the tightening up of this team.
Yeah.
I guess the one good thing is we're going back to Toronto, and Game 6 isn't at home because I think they're too tight right now. And if they lose Game 6, bet the house on Toronto because this team is going to be so tight at home at Game 7. It's the worst thing could happen is them coming back home for Game 7, just because of how we play. I mean, I'm nervous for this right now. I'm nervous because I know these Bruins players feel it. They feel it. They know.
What's going to piss me off tomorrow night is switching back to Allmark.
And that's
Swayman has been amazing.
So that's going to tell us a lot about Montgomery, right? Because he should stick with Swayman right now. He tinkered, screwed everything up. Sorry. He was one of the main factors we lost Game 5. If he tinkers up, like, this guy's got to go. He's in his own head. Like, he's not seeing what's out there. He's reading, like, a play sheet. Like, you know, he's analytics-driven or something and not watching the flow of the game because anyone can say right now, I mean, I was the biggest proprietor of back and forth. We've done it all year. But Swayman has been playing...
Lights out.
And you hate Swayman.
And I hate Swayman. And I shouldn't say hate. I dislike him a lot because I know how much this guy loves him.
Okay.
Yeah. Now this game coming up is gonna show a lot of. I mean, is Montgomery gonna tinker again, or is he gonna go back to the lineup that he had that won the 2 games in Toronto? They lose this series, and
it is another epic fail.
He's got to go.
Yeah.
You can't keep making changes like this. This next game is so big in so many ways, and you just you don't know what he's going to do until the lineups come out, and you look on the bench and go, look at that. Yep. Grizzlick's playing again. Brazo's out there instead of Beecher.
Yep.
Okay.
And Johnny Marshall, you're right. The second part of your comment here, the defense needs to step it up. We're all in agreement. Swayman, but yes, the defense needs to come to play. The defense, even if they do put the guys in, Grizzlick and stuff like that we all sit here and say that's a horrible mistake. This is the series. This Game 6 is this series. They need to come to play.
Here's another issue that with our mainly our defensemen is the fear of getting hit when they get to that red line to dump the puck in. And the first goal that Toronto scored was because Carlo was 6 feet from the red line and dumped it in and got called for icing. And then they were pissed that they called him for icing. Watch the replay. He's literally 6 feet behind the line.
Yeah.
Toronto wins that face-off, and puck bounces off a few legs and goes in the net.
We lost face-offs
75% of the time.
And you know what? I forget who chimed in earlier. I think it was Paul Connors that said that they were out hitting it. We were getting out hit. We out hit Toronto the other night, and it didn't even feel like that out there. It was 43-38. I know that's like a small gap, but watching that game, we talked about this earlier. It looked like Toronto was destroying us out there.
Yeah, it did.
So it's
and Carlo and Lindholm are the big boys, but they play small, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They don't, neither one of them really hit. Carlo should be a heavy hitter. He's got the body and he's got the brains for it. Lindholm's an offensive defenseman that doesn't like the physical play. But this is like, they know this. Toronto knows this, so they just keep hitting him, and he just keeps throwing the puck to Toronto.
And I know we say he's an offensive defenseman, but we need some more offense because Paul Connors brings this up. This point right here is, you're right. We only had 2 shots that first period.
Yeah, that was.
In the second period, we only had 8 shots.
That just shows you the lack of effort.
Ridiculously lopsided. Exactly. That goes to effort. You're absolutely right.
So Toronto, they take the puck from their own zone. They skate it into the Bruins zone.
Yes.
The Bruins skate up get close to the red line and then throw it in.
Yeah.
And then no one goes to get it. So what's your game plan I mean, if you're doing dump and chase, you need someone to chase, and you need that person who's chasing to hit. Because when you give the puck to the defenseman deep in the zone, you're supposed to pound them. And they're not. They're barely getting to the red line, dumping it in, and then, no one gets in there.
Dave, you look around the rest of the league, all the teams, the Hurricanes, the Avalanche, the Panthers, everybody else got in this position, and they closed out their series.
Right.
The Rangers, yeah.
Everybody
closed out these series, and we're futzing around with no effort. It just speaks volume to this team. It's just...
Yeah. And with a team that 3 of your stars, your young stars, are on the bench. One of them's crying, and the other 2 are yelling at him to stop crying. And they pointed this out on TV.
Yeah.
Who was crying?
Mitch Marner was crying on the bench, and Austin Matthews and William Nylander were sitting on the other side of him, yelling at him.
Huh.
And he threw a little tantrum. He took his gloves off and threw them behind him, and it was just like...
It was, that's what you expect to see in Toronto. That's what you expect to see from the Toronto
to see that in Toronto. And that's why the Bruins should have put them away that last game. Because that team is just so... They're so unhinged. There's so much talent there, but yet they can't put it together, and you're going to give them more life.
Just such a bad look crying on the bench.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, is that a Bruins player? Or?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
Marner.
No, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
I was completely thinking, when hosts aren't listening.
Kind of reminds me of, when Baby Davis was crying in the finals, and KG was just eating him up.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, grow up.
Max Domi, Paul, he's, you know what? Last game he played really well. They moved him up to the first line, and I don't know, he was actually pretty good. I'm not a big Domi fan, but he was playing like a bitch early in the series, and that last game he kind of owned the Bruins.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm hoping when we're sitting here
talking about another first-round exit.
Talking about another epic fail.
And hopefully the Celtics close out their series.
Oh, because we can't have episodes already with just nothing but Red Sox talk.
Or can we? I feel like I can fill an hour of Red Sox talk, and nobody would listen.
Once again, we've put on another 7-3 in their last 10.
They are 17-13. And going into the season, we talked about how they're a little bit more athletic, how they were going to play hard. And truth be told, you got to give this team credit, because if they were 17-13 without any of the injuries, I think we would have been pretty happy.
Yeah.
But Devers has barely played. Story is out. Cassis is out. Yoshida's on the DL. They lost Pavetta. They've had a ton of injuries, and they're 17-13.
You know what I like about this team?
Nothing.
No. Something that we're pissed about our Bruins. These guys have heart out there.
Yeah, they play hard.
They play hard.
They bring it every night.
Yeah, they have to.
There are years in the past that we would see errant balls in the outfield and guys not hustling. I mean, there really are. I'm sorry. I hate this ownership, and it kills me to say this again, because we've said this week after week now. They're a joy to watch because of the heart and the hustle. And just watching the guys have fun, Tony.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are having fun out there. We didn't see that at all last year or the year before.
Saw it in spring training, though, and that's why I was pretty hard on that this is what we're going to see. Because you saw them hustling during spring training. I'm like, these are the guys that are going to play. And the horrible part about all this is ownership is sitting back saying, hey, you know what? Looks like we're right.
We don't need to spend money.
We don't need to spend money because the Dodgers are one game better than us, and they spent over $1 billion this offseason. We spent about $10 million.
Right.
It's not worth it.
And the starting pitching has been
great.
Yeah. I mean, we sat here and thought, like, this is going to be awful, and they've been great.
New pitching coach that switched up the philosophy a little bit. But you know what?
Like, got these guys pitching. Some of these guys pitching lights out.
Oh, yeah. Much. A lot of them are pitching over their head, but the fact that they're all pitching over their head, maybe
there's something
to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it was one or two guys, hey, you get lucky. Sometimes you get lucky for a half season. Very rarely do you get lucky for a full season. It does happen. But when you have everybody pitching above their heads,
yep.
You know what? But here's another catch to it. It's still entertainment, though.
Yeah.
So nobody wants to see like a bag of mediocre ball players out there win 86 games, get into the playoffs, lose round one. Red Sox ownership wants to see that. We don't want to see it. We want to see the entertainment value.
Yeah.
That's why if you can piece together what you're doing with 2 or 3 mega stars to go along with Devers, if you had 2 other stars, I think it'd be a much more enjoyable product that people would get behind.
Tanner Houck.
Tanner Houck.
Tanner Houck, oh, stud.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Pavetta is probably their best pitcher. He's coming back, and they think about 2 weeks. They're all pitching well.
No, they're all pitching well. They're all hitting
Crawford's
pretty well.
pitching well. They're stealing bases. They're running. The fact that Rafaela can play center field and then move over to shortstop, move over to second, that's been huge. Because ever since they inserted him at shortstop, now they have a more major league roster out there. Abreu, I don't love him, but he's a Major League Baseball player. So having the flexibility to move Rafaela to shortstop has helped as well.
No, it's good. And last night, beating the Giants the way we did.
Yeah,
I mean, I
beating
wasn't
my starting
expecting
pitcher,
that.
Logan Webb, who was
So-
second in the Cy Young last year, who hadn't given up a run in 19 innings, and they kind of shelled him.
They just stay relevant, guys.
Yeah. Get us into training camp. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
Right? Give us something to talk about. And if they can do that, and then even if you're not relevant towards the end of the season, if at that time they can bring up Roman Anthony, they can bring up Marcel Mayer, now we're watching the games to see how those guys are. It's something, right?
Yep.
Give us a season.
But what'll be frustrating is like this team, they're playing so hard, and then the trade deadline comes and they're looking for help.
But we already know that. And,
Yeah.
and
We
so
do,
We
yeah.
know that, and I think this team is young enough that
I
they're
hope
not
they
going to play
realize
through it.
after
Right.
two years in a row of not
My
getting help.
one fear, though, is I like Tyler O'Neill here. Tyler O'Neill likes it here. When they traded for him, I got a Woody in my pants. I was like, dude, this guy is the man. I've always liked Tyler O'Neill. Right? And you recall that I've always liked Tyler O'Neill. I watch a lot of baseball. I like his toughness. I feel like that guy's made for
His
Boston.
moxie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we instead of trading him out because he's a free agent at the end of the season,
Maybe
can,
extend them.
can we get him 4 years for $70 million?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah, because he's performing.
He has, 11 homers, plays a gold glove type outfield, and he likes it here. And Cora's already said how he's taken on a leadership role. I know it's easier when you're hitting the shit out of the ball. He's taken on a leadership role in the clubhouse. We need an offensive player to take on a leadership role because, unfortunately, Devers doesn't speak English all that well.
Yeah.
He would be the guy. But you know what? If you could get Tyler O'Neill and then Cassis had 6 homers before the injury, maybe it's a start or something.
Maybe if they give them an extension too, that'll show some of these younger guys. All right, maybe they are committed to something here.
Right.
We do see them giving these guys these extensions right now.
They gave it to
signing these
Bale.
guys.
They gave it to Rafaela, which I like both of those moves. Give it to Tyler O'Neill. Give him he gets hurt a lot, which kind of makes me nervous, but I'd give it to him. Take a chance. 4 years, $70 million. Let's go.
So I know we got a big game on tonight. There are 2 things I want to get into real quick. One, the Tyson. Oh my goodness.
Logan Paul.
No, not Logan Paul.
Jake?
Jake Paul fight.
Jake Paul.
So it just went to a professional. Not before it was an amateur fight. Now it's gone to a professional fight.
Oh, I kind of like that.
Well, yeah, so you can bet on it. That's
And-
the only reason they did it.
And if it's going to be on Tyson's record, Tyson might be,
That's the other part of
he
it
might
too.
want to knock his head off.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to ruin my record to this stiff.
Anthony had chimed in wondering if the fix is in. I think I'm going to be naive to this. I guess that's not the right word, but I like to think these Jake Paul fights aren't fixed. I know you can make a case for them that there are. I don't think there's anything in the world, any amount of money that's going to make Tyson take a dive.
No,
Yeah.
Right?
I don't
He's
think
got
so.
one, he's a lunatic. 2, he's got too much pride.
Yeah.
And to go back to the lunatic, is he's the kind of guy that would get paid to take a dive and completely lose it in the ring.
But does Tyson get paid to not totally destroy him? To win the fight and not kill this guy, make it last 8 rounds.
Do you think Tyson has the mental makeup
I
to
think
not
Tyson
do that?
is in a much better place mentally now than he was 20
I
years
don't know.
ago.
He stopped smoking weed, so that guy could come back.
Yeah, you listen to him talk, he just seems like he's at peace with himself. He seems like he's in a good place right now, as opposed to the animal that was.
Until he gets punched in the face a couple
Yeah,
times. and then-
I think Netflix, who's hosting it, would love to see it go
Yeah.
6-7 rounds. I think realistically,
Well,
Tyson
they changed it to a 2-minute rounds now.
Okay,
So
all right.
Interesting.
I think in real life, Tyson would have this guy out cold in a minute.
I'm hoping this is real life. I'm hoping this is a real life boxing match.
Okay.
Because I know Jake Paul, he wants the validity. He wants to be taken seriously.
Then fight a real fighter.
They don't want to fight him.
They don't wanna
because
fight him.
if they lose, their career's over because they're going to be like, oh, you lost to a YouTuber.
Well,
You
get
know?
better
And
then.
you just saw what happened. The last guy that he just fought, I know he's a no-name, but he was a real fighter. He took a chance, and
Yep.
he lost.
He lost.
And his career's over. Luckily, he got a decent enough payday,
Yeah.
but
But you know what?
And that's what
If-
Paul said to do is pay these guys more to get them to fight
If
him.
you're not going to beat Jake Paul, realistically, your career's nothing anyways, right?
I don't know. Jake Paul, to me, he takes it
He
serious.
takes it
He's
seriously.
a good fighter.
Yeah.
He's
right,
a good
right.
boxer.
But if a boxer loses to him, like, what were you going to be anyways?
But that's the problem with it. It is in this fight right here. If Tyson comes out and is, I know he's old, but still, I mean, we've seen him out there. He's still Tyson. If he fights anywhere to his capability, and Jake Paul fights the way that we've seen him fight, if Paul wins this fight, you gotta validate him a little bit after it. You gotta give him
If
something.
it looks like Tyson's given it everything that he has, you got to give him something, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. But people are going to watch it. It's on Netflix. It's free.
Yeah.
So people are going to watch
It's going
it.
to be awesome.
All right.
So things I'm looking that and Conor McGregor coming back, 2 great fight things to look forward to. But this weekend we have the roast of Tom Brady.
Oh, yes.
I will be chiming in. Not chiming in. I will be
Yeah.
watching, viewing, tuning in. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I want to see what happens. I mean, these roasts, I enjoy the roasts. I think these
They
guys
are
are
pretty
pretty funny.
Yeah.
So I want to see what happens.
Did they say who's going to be doing the roasting?
They haven't released everybody yet. Didn't they just
They had
announce
Belichick,
Belichick's
Edelman,
going to be there?
Gronk,
Yeah. And then
Amendola?
yeah, I'm not sure.
There was a handful of former players.
Yeah.
Yeah, Belichick.
And then there's
Giselle? Is Giselle going to
Oh
do
my
some roasting?
God, yeah.
Maybe her
The-
Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor? Maybe he'll do some roasting? Sounds like he already has.
I guarantee. Oh, boom, boom. I guarantee you that they're going to bring that up.
Oh, that's
Oh,
dirty.
Moss,
That's dirty.
Moss and Bledsoe.
Yeah.
That's dirty. You never bring that up.
In a roast, there's no
Oh,
off limits. You
no
didn't see the
holds
roast
barred.
of
You got
Ron?
your boys. If he
No.
loses a girl, you never bring that up. You never make fun of him for that. Never, ever.
But they have some of the guys that are there at all the roasts.
Pete Davidson. Someone made a joke about his father, dying in 9/11.
Jesus.
Like they don't hold
I
back.
don't
No.
watch these roasts, and apparently I don't know if I'd like them. Like,
No,
there's
they're
some
pretty
dirty
funny.
stuff. Oh.
It's pretty amusing.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoyed all of them. I can't recall one that I could say was bad. I mean, some of them they've had some lame duck jokes, but I mean,
I kind of hope Peyton Manning's there. He's
Bridget,
pretty funny.
Bob Roxburgh says Bridget Monahan. I could see her make an appearance. Woof. I don't know. She was my favorite.
Yeah? Did I ever tell you the story?
Yeah, I know there's some behind the scenes things that would make her
I
not
think
your
Bridget
favorite.
Monahan,
Wants to keep her mouth shut.
yeah.
So, all right.
Keep her nose clean and keep her mouth shut.
Greg Giraldo was the master of the roast. I know that name, but I cannot picture what he looks like. But on that note, we got a big game to catch.
Oh, and it's probably on right now. So we will see you guys next week, same time, same place.
All right.
Hit the button, Dave. Don't mess it up.